What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel. And it finished Manchester United 0, Arsenal 1. Our hopes of possibly winning our first title in 20 years are still alive. And don't let them tell you that it's the hope that kills you. It's not. It's the absence of hope that kills you. Whilst you're still in it, you can still win it. And however slim that chance is, we'll now be watching with bated breath as Manchester City go to Tottenham and have to win that game. The pressure's back on them. I'm not sure it's going to be that difficult for them in the mood they're in at the moment. But today was an important victory. It wasn't the swashbuckling, attacking football that we'd all hoped for. We didn't avenge the 8-2 defeat. We didn't put Ten Hag's hapless banter team to the sword. Arteta was, I thought, remarkably honest about it when afterwards he said that the game kind of went away from us when we took that early lead. We started to play too defensively. We didn't play to the plan that we'd had. And I think that's typical of a team that knows exactly what's at stake here, but also knows just how defensively compact they can be. Clean sheets on the road have been phenomenal this calendar year, and today was no exception. Although it has to be said, Manchester United did look toothless up front, and we restricted them to just 2 shots on target, one of them Casemiro from range. But I thought when the game kicked off that we were in a bit of trouble because Erik Ten Hag had addressed some of the issues that they were going to be facing, put people around Casemiro in defence. When the goal came, of course, everyone will now point to the fact that Casemiro is playing at centre-back. But none of that really matters. What matters is that today we broke our record for the most games won in a Premier League season. Now, Arteta afterwards said that it was the most wins in 130 years of our history. It's not quite true. 1931, 1971, I think it was 31. I wasn't around then, so forgive me. But there have been 2 occasions in our 130-year history where we have won more games. Both of the previous occasions were in 42-game seasons. So this is a record for 38 games. And if we win against Everton next Sunday, we will have recorded 28 wins out of 38 games played. And that is a huge achievement. We've now scored more goals than we ever have in the Premier League before. And of course, if we don't finish this season with silverware, all of that will be lost. Won't matter. People won't remember just how good we were. But we haven't lost it yet. And that is the key thing. For all of the people who responded to my last video saying that I was deluded or ignorant, I'm not. I understand the scale of the challenge. Now all everyone's talking about is, will Tottenham want to beat Manchester City on Tuesday? Or will they just sit back and let Manchester City win? Well, Manchester United hate Manchester City as much as anyone, right? And their fans filled that stadium. They were the 12th man. God knows Man United needed them. They were impeccable. There wasn't a hint of the fact that they wanted anything but a victory from that game. And I take my hat off to them. Not literally, because my hair's a mess. But I think that for all of the people saying that Tottenham will want to lose, in fact, it was talked about after the game. And it's worth remembering, in 1995, when Manchester United were playing West Ham, they needed Liverpool to beat Blackburn. And if Manchester United hate Manchester City, the rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United is even worse. And that day, Blackburn were managed by Kenny Dalglish. And the Liverpool fans so wanted Liverpool to lose. But on the day, they beat Blackburn. These things happen. I know we're in different times. And look, despite the fact that Tottenham recorded a win yesterday, they weren't at all convincing. They went 1-0 down to a team that's only won 5 games all season and needed 2 goals from defenders to come back. But there is something unusual about the chemistry between Tottenham and Manchester City. It is, as we all know, a place that Pep Guardiola has not done well in the league, and that's a huge understatement. On Tuesday night, it's conceivable, if not likely, that Manchester City might only get a draw or worse. And that means going to the last day of the season, the title could well be in our hands. But even if it isn't, what more can you ask from a team? What more can you ask from a manager in his first job? I know we're all expecting the negative voices to be loud and heard and say, well, we choked, but we haven't choked. They told us that we weren't going to win the league in December because of the 2 defeats to West Ham and Fulham, and they are painful. And if we don't win the league this season, will it be because we lost to Aston Villa at home? Well, of course. If we'd won that game, we would likely be champions next Sunday. But so fine are the margins in this Premier League that what you can actually look at is, let's say we hadn't conceded that late goal to Fulham early in the season and had ground out a 2-1 win instead of it 2-2. What about the game against Chelsea? If we'd carried on playing a little bit more and a goal had gone in right at the death and we'd taken all 3 points from that instead of 1 point. Just that one goal extra in either of those two matches and we would be champions. So when the difference between Arsenal and Manchester City is as slim as one goal in one game, given the VAR issues we had in Newcastle, that disallowed goal against Aston Villa, all of the things that have happened to us, losing Urian Timber at the start of the season, losing Thomas Partey for most of the season, all of that set against a Manchester City side who are indomitable, have won 6 of the last 7 if they win this season, will have won 4 in a row, won the treble last season. Rodri, a player in their team who hasn't lost a competitive match in the league for 15 months. This been described as a juggernaut. Whatever you want to call Manchester City, you have to applaud their ability. You have to applaud their mental ability to grind out results and not let the pressure get to them. And this Arsenal side has already shown that it's beginning to develop that on its own. That this Arsenal side has already begun to show that we can do that as well. Because it's easy to criticise a team for not playing to the plan and not getting forward enough. There were some scary moments in it. We didn't quite dominate the game as we probably should have done. Even though Ten Hag set up a midfield, first time this season I've seen Man United play where they haven't just let you roll through the middle of them. Maybe that did catch us off guard a little bit. But there is a difference in this Arsenal side. When we lost in that week against Aston Villa and then away to Bayern Munich, we didn't crumble. We came back and won 5 in a row. Arteta talked about the fact that now the final game of the season with the players, families and everybody there, a stadium packed full of Arsenal supporters wishing and dreaming and singing their hearts out to see us do it. It's been so long since we were involved in the final game of the season. And in football, absolutely anything can happen. So I'm staying positive and I'm believing till the very end, because if you're still in it, you can still win it, and we are still in it. Thanks to defensive performances this season, which are better than anything I've seen from Arsenal. And it's not as if we need to dream that the first half of the season would have been much better. It's literally one goal in the game against Fulham or Chelsea that would have made all the difference. We've taken 4 points off City. We've conceded 5 goals fewer than them. If it comes down to the last day of the season and City only have a draw, then all we have to do is beat Everton. Of course, if City win, they'll be 2 points ahead of us, and we'll be desperately hoping that West Ham can get a draw. And even though that's hugely unlikely, David Moyes' last game of the season, I'm still going to cheer for it. That's our job as fans. There's no time for negativity in this last week. We have 1 week left of a Premier League season. We have 1 week left of this Premier League season to emulate the achievement of 20 years ago, to win the league for the first time in 20 years. So overall, as we go into the last game of the season, let's focus on the fact that we have now done better than any other Arsenal side in the Premier League. That we have scored more goals, that we have won more games, that we've got a phenomenal defensive record in the calendar year of 2024. We've conceded 28 goals out of 38 games. How different it all might have been if one other goal had gone in here or there. But for me, I'm going to focus on the positives. We're still in it. And as for Tottenham, whether they throw it or not, watching the Tottenham fans singing, "We're City till July." City till July. I mean, they are so desperate to see us fail because that's all they've got. And we've got so much more. I still believe in the integrity of the Spurs players. I think they will give their very best on Tuesday. It's conceivable they might still have a top 4 finish to go if Liverpool can beat Villa tomorrow. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I thought Merson saying he'd get a Spurs tattoo if that happened. Well, look, as unlikely as it is, I'm going to believe, because what's the alternative? If you spend your entire season saying you can't do it and you live in that misery, then if you do it, you only have the elation of that final moment. I'm choosing to live in the positivity of what I've watched from this team this season, and time after time when their backs were against the wall, they delivered. Yes, there was a slip-up against Villa. Yes, there was that terrible performance against Fulham. And yes, an inexplicable defeat at home to West Ham, which we can all regret. But that might happen to Manchester City on Sunday. I'm going to keep dreaming. I'm going to keep dreaming. I'm going to keep hoping. And I'm going to see you tomorrow for another video. So if you haven't yet, click like and subscribe. And until I see you tomorrow, be lucky. Lots of love.